Welcome to another episode of Play the Hits. We're playing something weird tonight, which means Nick's probably in charge of picking this evening's game.
I'm ready to
I,
get weird.
How you doing, Chris?
I'm doing well. How are you doing, buddy?
I'm good. I'm good. Tired, but tax season will do that to you.
Yeah, and hey, sorry I missed you last week. Thursday ended up exhausting you, and then Friday you were all set to go, and I completely missed your message, so...
These things happen. Well, hey, we're going to make up for it with an interesting game. So have you ever played Condemned Criminal Origins?
Okay, so my history with Condemned Criminal Origins is this. My roommate from college had it on his Xbox 360, and I distinctly remember playing a good amount with him, but I don't remember any of the content because I was probably drinking quite heavily during these sessions. And so
I remember your college days.
And
yeah.
so while I remember shapes and colors, the vast majority of this game is going to be brand new to me.
Okay, all right. Well, my story is a bit more subdued. It's the only game that's ever really spooked me.
Oh, really?
I'm not claiming that this is going to be a spooky game. It's just this was the first game I ever found particularly unnerving.
It just kind of hit you the right way?
Yeah, well, I mean, it's unnerving with what's the way to say it? With the homeless that just kind of scamper about and they move erratically, and they've got this weird AI, and it's just an unnerving environment. The main villain seemed pretty interesting, and there seemed to be some stuff going on in the background about like something following me that no one ever acknowledged throughout like character conversation. So I got about a third of the way through this when I played, and I just got busy with other things. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to giving this an actual playthrough. Picked it up on Steam like 5 minutes after I found out it was available on there for like $4.
Oh, score, dude.
So yeah, I've really been looking forward to trying to give this another run through. So.
Yeah, I'm pretty excited to see it properly for the first time.
How's the volume on your end?
It sounds great. I think we're going to be in good shape. We are, of course, so kind of an interesting way of doing this, and you're free to go ahead and start or tinker whatever you need. Kind of an interesting way that we do games from Nick's end. Nick streams to me, and then I just put it in full screen and stream to Twitch. So that's what we're doing.
It's like we're a couple of chuckleheads making it up as we go, but that's
pretty much
exactly
play the
what
hits.
we do.
Yeah,
right?
But by the time it actually hits YouTube, it's been translated across roughly 4 different mediums and streams. So, yeah.
So, before we start, keep in mind this is a 10-year-old game. Kind of keep an eye to just how well, if at all, this is aged. So,
yeah, I'm down.
I kind of like that old-fashioned game jank, though, so...
Yeah, and it's kind of weird for me to think of the PS3 and the Xbox 360 as particularly old, but you have to remember that there is now an entire generation of gamers for whom the PS3 and the 360 were before their time. I mean...
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and when you talk about the PlayStation 1, you may as well be talking about, like, those old, like, AM radios that they used to put in cars, before you or I could ever drive.
So the city's crime rate has increased to record-breaking levels. The most significant increase in assaults with deadly intent, which is up 28%. So, like, well, we're in New York.
I was going to say, I recognize this plot, and it's just the first Ninja Turtles movie.
Really? I thought it was just, like, Giuliani's campaign speech for mayor.
I want to see the fucking Foot Clan show up. They're behind this whole thing. Condemned, parentheses, Revenge of the Foot.
See, you're, like, advertising an infinitely more interesting game that we got.
Well, and another way that we'll kind of date ourselves here, you and I are both aware of Yahtzee's review of the sequel to this game.
Yes, I know.
So he goes, the first game had a lore, it had mystery, and then you find out within the first 10 minutes of the second game what happened. They just nailed a bunch of fucking hubcaps to the wall.
Oh yes, look at these graphics.
For their era, they are not bad.
Yeah, you have to consider it for what it is. Oh, man. Yeah. Consider it.
I don't got all day here.
Detective Shelby from Heavy Rain.
Jesus Christ. He's put on some weight.
Or has kept it exactly the same. I'm not sure. So I guess we're playing as Turok.
Oh, Shelby, you're right. Sorry. I was thinking of, and yeah, we are playing as Turok, aren't we?
He looks like it. I mean, it's either Turok or George Lopez. I'm not sure which is least racist.
Neither are gonna get us any followers, so whatever you want to say. Duck under.
I mean, Turok was basically Native American Bruce.
Bruce Willis.
Yes, thank you.
Yep. I can totally see what you're going for there.
Are the voices too loud?
No, volume is perfect. I'm getting a little bit of jutteriness. Again, though, I'm not 100% sure whether that's the stream or the graphics options. I guess, how does it look on your end? Totally smooth?
Yep, very smooth.
Okay. It's probably just some minor hiccups in the stream. It's not bad. The important thing is it looks good. The textures are all accurate, and it's not, like, freezing. I notice where it's most juddery is when there's, like, really intense lighting effects. Like, right now, it's actually really good.
Well, you go have fun with that.
Yeah, I was gonna say, you go do police stuff.
So let's see. I think the plot is up these stairs.
This is where the plot wants me to be. So how's tax season going? Tiredness aside.
Yeah, it'll end in April.
Paulus.
What can you say,
Yeah.
right?
Can I expect you to come down any time before that, or is April the earliest I'm getting you down here?
We'll see what we see in a few weeks. We got problems at the factory I work at, too, so that's a whole other can of worms.
Oh, lovely.
Okay, so one of the things I look for in horror games is what the flashlight looks like.
Yeah.
This is good. This is what a flashlight should be, not like a little pinprick of light to, collectibles.
It
not
does
a
give you a full
pinprick of
cone.
light to artificially, like, increase the tension. I hate that.
Yeah. No, it's good. It's good. I like what I'm seeing here. It's got some good ambiance to it. And, to this day, like, some of my favorite horror games are PS1 era games, because even though they completely lack, I mean, like, this game looks positively masterful compared to what you and I grew up with the PS1. But, man, they really, like... Jacked. I know, right? That is a...
Okay, this guy's just made out of plastic. I feel... This is going to sound weird. I feel like I'm in the Batman... the animated series here. This is what it feels like.
You're not too far off. I could see that. But with the PS1, going back to my point there, they kind of made use of the limitations in such a way that they really found ways to kind of maximize it and build, like, really solid atmosphere with that kind of played off the limitations. Like Silent Hill, for instance, the fog in the first game was a direct result of them having no draw distance. So they made fog in order to make the game more graphically impressive looking. But that is like the defining aspect of the Silent Hill games now, is the fog.
Oh, this mannequin has no legs.
Someone also seems to have shoved an iron rod up his arm.
Well, I mean, it's a mannequin. You can do that.
Oh. That one's not a mannequin, huh? On the PS3, it's kind of hard to tell the difference. Heyo.
Let's see here. How do we press? Okay, well, am I not close enough?
Why did someone finger paint lines on her neck? Oh.
Well, they're clearly strangulation. I see what you're doing. Now we try to figure out how to use the tool.
Right.
All right, let's see here.
Nick, at some point, I think you and I are going to have to play L.A. Noire on this channel.
There we go.
The only thing about L.A. Noire, though, is that game can really be as long or as short as you want it to be, depending on how good of a cop you feel like being.
How much of a psychopath Cole Phelps want to be. Huh?
That's right. That's exactly right.
Okay, so the killer is missing an index finger. That's odd.
Or maybe he just, like, held one finger up to dick with you.
Just to screw with them.
Yeah, right. Like, all I have to do is remove one finger from this equation and we'll be in good shape. I can see why you found this game so unnerving. They've got some Some eerie visuals going.
I mean, this was like early Xbox, not even Xbox 360, if I remember correctly. Okay, what else?
Well, I mean, like, no, it should have been Xbox 360. There's no way they could have done this on like the PS2 era hardware.
Then I think it was very early.
Yeah,
360.
yeah, absolutely.
Like Oblivion early.
Yeah, I'm thinking like 2007-ish is my guess. You know what? Hey, trivia boys, let's look it up. Condemned Criminal Origins. No, not PC mode.
You know,
Google, stop finishing my thoughts.
I always thought the tools were like the coolest part of this game, but also the most frustrating to use.
Yeah.
All right, there we go.
Oh, dude, check this out. We were both wrong. It was even earlier than we thought. November 15th, 2005. We had just fucking graduated high school, dude.
Well, I don't think the Xbox 360 came out until we were in our first semester in college, right?
No, well, yeah, which is when this would have been. November 2005. Yeah,
okay,
like
I remember
the 360
it came out like first semester of college.
Was this a launch game for the 360?
It was close.
Because if so, yeah, I mean, I can see where this would have been like a really impressive jump from the PS2, but by the end of the PS3 era lifespan, like it would have looked, you know, primitive.
Any luck on the mug book searches? I bet the killer has the same mark.
I mean, when you think about it, we began the Xbox 360 and PS3 era with well this and like Call of Duty 2, and we ended it with games like you know, Final Fantasy 13 and Uncharted, which, well, you know, well, in 13's case, not the most brilliant game ever made, is like still pretty good to look at. I mean, there's
it was a pretty game.
Yeah, they managed to do some boring. Yeah. They managed to do some really impressive stuff though with the PS3 and 360 hardware. I mean, I think more so than other generations, there was a really noticeable gap in graphical fidelity between the beginning of its lifespan and the end.
What do you want me to do, Detective Shelby?
I want you to find the Heavy Rain Killer. He's above us. Sure, Shelby. Sure. You know, spoilers for a game that we haven't even played on this channel yet, but when that reveal came along, am I the only one who thought they really kind of like gave Shelby some superpowers in order to cover his tracks?
No, I thought it was pretty believable.
The one that got me, though, was when he killed the guy at the antique shop. Like, all the time this woman is on the phone for like 20 seconds.
That was a close stretch.
Yeah, Shelby killed him at the speed of sound, covered his prints, and came back into the room, all while not making a single sound. I mean, that was...
Yeah, my only qualm there was, like, Shelby, like, had to have known he was going to murder and have done it immediately.
That wasn't a split decision on Shelby's part. I mean, he came in there knowing someone's got to die today. That's a great game, and we need to play it.
Oh, and for Christ's sake, be careful.
I am Turok!
Damn it.
I like how we both went there.
I mean, the face. I mean, what can I say, man?
That's the only way this guy can communicate. I am Turok!
My cell phone doesn't do this.
Yeah, I know. Like, we have cell phones today that don't have displays like this. You know, that have, like, a rotating portrait of the person you're talking to.
I don't want that.
You just see Chris Beck's big old face just kind of like rotating with my dead like fish-eyed glance.
Oh, damn it.
Oh. Or I will have used force.
Oh.
Perfect future inactive, I guess. It's been a while since I've done a grammar course, so forgive me for my butchering of the declensions there.
I just killed a man.
Was it really a man, though? I mean, he was homeless. Oh.
Oh, I had a flashlight. Yeah, let me pick this up.
Yeah, so the star of this game, as I remember it, and granted that's very brief, is the melee combat, correct?
Yeah, there's a lot of variety. I've heard it compared to like what's that thing with Gordon Freeman? Something 2.
Half-Life something?
Yeah, that.
Yeah. So what I'm thinking of from this particular era is, of course, Skyrim, which is just basically left click as fast as you humanly can and run out the stamina meter of the other guy before they run out yours. Now, in this game...
That's the trouble with this. You can't do that in this game.
Right.
Because, like, when you hit the enemies, they usually, like, rebound and then get you on the backswing.
Right. The swings and the blocking, it's all very weighty from what I remember. And that's something that even in like modern first person games, it's kind of a tight rope to walk, like if you make it too forgiving, you just get Oblivion all over again where you can just swing until your enemy's dead. But if you make it too heavy, then it kind of goes the opposite way. It's not realistic anymore. It's just sluggish, Like doing melee combat in the first person is surprisingly difficult to do successfully.
Damn it!
I got immediately a fucking gun!
As it tells me, immediately as it says to use ammo wisely.
I'm a cop, baby!
Alright, let's see here.
No consequences!
Well, I got my Duke Nukem foot.
Yeah, right,
that
kick.
Doesn't work out with the gun.
That is awesome. He's just firing in the air like the rich Texan on The Simpsons.
Yeah! Say what you will about this game, it did insulation really well texture-wise.
For when you were at it from a distance, I'm like, why are there brains in the walls? And then it wasn't the texture's fault, it was just me not comprehending what I was seeing for a second there.
Oh, jeez. Okay.
Oh, that is creepy. So you're going to think this is stupid because it's completely not a scary game, but the beginning of Doom 3, I'll never forget. When I played that on the PC, it was so graphically impressive for its time that there was a part of the beginning of that game where you're in a corridor, very much like this one, and all of a sudden the lights go out except for like this one dangling bulb, and I just like fucking froze. I stood there like, because it just looked so real for the time. I was just like, nope, not going in that room. And meanwhile, it's Doom. You're meant to be like slaughtering your way through hordes of enemies, and I wouldn't engage the first one.
What Doom was this?
Doom 3.
Ah, okay.
Which, strange enough, is about the era.
Doom engine, right?
Oh no, it was its own thing.
Okay.
And it actually got used for a lot of games in that era. Wow, you just took that guy's elbow right out. Why is he wearing a GIMP mask? Whoa, swing and a miss.
There we go.
He really thought that was going to be cool, didn't he? That, like, backhand, like, spin swing. Like, he thought he was, Link from Legend of Zelda just going, yeah! Whiff.
It was his moment to live out that dream, but no.
Right.
But, he was living his little fan fiction, and I was Ganon, but what he didn't know was Ganon had a Glock 9.
Yeah, it turns out deflecting bullets back at Ganon in real life isn't as easy as it is in Ocarina of Time.
Look at the shadow.
I know. The legs don't really move, do they?
Well, you know what? I do have legs, and they do work like normal human legs, but the shadow,
to an extent, the shadow is just kind of like this static mannequin. Yeah,
dude, I swear to God, I'm playing as Negan.
Negan.
That's the shadow. Like, it's the same body type.
It's about to get fucking shitty in here. Oh.
All right, well,
look at Solid Snake here, yeah. You don't see me, you don't see me. It dawns on me that when you have the gun, you're pretty much the predator, aren't you?
But there's only so many bullets.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
Okay, if he doesn't want to bother me, I'm not going to bother him, so...
But I was thinking that last dude in his mind, like he's like hearing music because he's so delusional. Duh, 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 and then all of a sudden, oh my God, my arm
kneecaps him.
Yeah, right. You shot me in the elbow, you sick fuck. Yeah, you were swinging a board at me.
I found the cigarette, Chief.
We can extract some DNA from that.
Damn it!
He just
okay,
shoots
A button is interact.
Now it'll work. Uh-oh, there goes the gun.
I think this is our main villain.
Negan? Oh, wait, no, you're Negan. That must make him Rick Grimes.
What does this guy look like? Well, he's got my gun, so I'm about to go down for murdering someone I didn't.
Yep.
Your bullets were in him. You murdered him.
Those bullets were in him when I got there.
All right, so you need a weapon. Grab a pipe or 2x4 off the wall. This kind of sounds...
Now, Nick,
you know what? I'll just take this piping right here.
Given the atmosphere of this game, you kind of have to call it not a 2x4, but a 2-before. as we who grew up in Northwest Ohio well know.
See, that might be my my southern Texan upbringing.
I'm sure it's in Texas, too. 2-before.
Goes right up there with Jeet yet?
Jeet,
All those other fun little colloquialisms.
No, I was down in the basement fixing the flange with some WD-40.
All right. So, is that a dude?
Yep. Yeah, he really thinks he's clever, doesn't he? Look at him there. What's that?
Hey,
oh, what the fuck? Birds.
Yeah, that's your collectibles for your Chivos.
That's what you get. Hey. This dude is dense.
You know what?
You kind of have to kill him. Life. Yeah, you know? Or maybe you just let him go. That's fine.
Just like a game where I'm in, California, and this is like the housing crisis thing, right? Oh.
Right.
Up he goes.
Or it's just the movie... Oh, hey! I saw the movie Joker, finally.
Yeah, what'd you think of it?
It was relentlessly bad. I mean, not like... it was a well-done film, but it almost like didn't need to be about the Joker. Like it was just a relentlessly depressing look at
the Joker's life.
Well, no, like mental illness in general, but framed as the origin of the Joker. Which, you know, by the time the Joker actually went full Joker, I was more invested in the character
of the ceiling,
right? I was more invested in the character of Arthur, really, than I was, you know, for like the full like supervillain antics to begin. Like that's and I give credit to the writers for
get it.
What's that?
If you were waiting for the supervillain stuff to happen, you know, you weren't going to get it. But there was no part in the movie, you know, where Joker was sitting down with his henchmen and like, hey guys, let's go out and do some crime.
I was thinking more like the transition scene for me was when he stabbed his fellow clown worker in the neck.
There's also the I think pretty heavy implication he killed that girl in her daughter.
In her apartment, yeah, right. Yeah, I agree.
I didn't realize that until afterwards that I started thinking on it.
Even there, it's just like this man is so delusional and he's snapped to such a degree that he is like seeing betrayal where there is no betrayal. But then with the scissors kill, it was almost comical in that, you know, he had some of the clown makeup on. It's really obvious that he's unwell. Like, why are these guys in the room with him? And then, you know, you have the little guy in the corner just screaming his lungs out.
Well, I mean, I think this is kind of the point of the movie, was that you're not supposed to empathize with Joker. I mean, I think he's supposed to cross that line to you're like, wow, I cannot root for this guy.
Right, and that's where they cross the line.
This guy's mentally ill, as the Joker is.
Right, yeah. And like I said, I liked the movie overall. I think what I wasn't expecting from it was that, you know, Joker's origins are supposed to be kind of cookie cutter and throwaway because, by his own admission, he imagines his origin differently every time. So if what you're supposed to be taking from this film is like, this is kind of just one possibility, or maybe it's an amalgamation of these things, then the important part is meant to be when we get to the Joker proper. But that's not the part that I was super invested in. You know, I kind of wanted to see a little bit more of like the Thomas Wayne conspiracy and figure out if he was his son or not, and things like that. But by the time that resolves itself, well, I mean,
the movie doesn't really.
Yeah,
the movie doesn't really like flesh out or give you enough the stuff it teases you with, right?
Yeah, it's an anticlimax from that perspective, because you know what's going to happen to Thomas Wayne, right? He has to get gunned down in the street for...
But I did like the movie's spin on, you know, making it seem less sympathetic. I thought that was an interesting touch.
Yeah. You know what other Batman-related...
You know, here's the thing, though. If this movie ever gets a sequel, you know, given the ages Batman at the age of like 25 is going to be fighting a 55-year-old Joker.
Oh, yeah, at least. But, and by that token, I kind of hope it doesn't get a sequel, because I think for what it does, which is, kind of give kind of an understanding and origin to this, monstrous character, I think it succeeded in that, which was good. And so I would almost hate to see... Oh, hello. It's the elusive man. No, I would almost hate to see them bring back this Joker and have him, square off against Batman, because I feel like in the world that they created for this movie, it would almost kind of feel disingenuous,
I mean, here's the thing, though. I'm fine with it being a one and done, but I mean, anything like they do with the sequel, I mean... Batman's gonna be beating up a mentally ill man. I mean,
right.
And
like,
you couldn't. Where's the fun in that?
Right, and you couldn't possibly keep the same pace as you had in this movie. So it would feel, just by virtue of it being a more traditional comic book movie, it would feel a lot more ham-fisted. And that's why I said that this movie almost didn't really need to be about the Joker. Hello,
I've got a taser.
So you do.
Right? That makes life easier.
It really could have just been about Arthur, like a very sick man named Arthur Fleck, and it would have been just as acceptable to me.
Yeah, I tend to agree, but I mean, I enjoyed it. I mean, essentially at the end of the day, it was like,
well,
okay, all right, let's deal with this.
And that's the thing. Like, I'm not sure if I can say I enjoyed it. It gave me pause and made me think. And
it was the only movie I saw the entire year that made me feel anything. So, I mean, even if it's not positive,
right,
it's something.
Right. So again, like a good movie doesn't have to be something that you necessarily enjoy. A good movie is something that elicits a reaction from you or gets you to think critically
that's
about
art, that's theater.
Right. About a situation or a character that you otherwise wouldn't have, given that kind of time to. And in the Joker, this movie succeeded there, because again, they made Arthur Fleck such an enchanting character, really, that when he finally did become the Joker, it's like, oh man, I was kind of hoping against hope that there was some chance that like the big twist is that he gets help, but the damage is done, and the real Joker shows up or something. But no,
Oh gosh.
But because that's the direction the TV show took. Like there was no Joker in that, but it kind of started like the Joker movement, I guess, which is another interesting thing that they do in the comics, like the three Jokers. But anyway. Now that was my take.
Essentially it was like consumerism dressed up as an art film.
Yeah.
But I mean, it was my favorite movie of 2019. By far. It wasn't an amazing movie. It wasn't perfect, but I thoroughly enjoyed it.
Oh,
it
me
did what
too,
it did.
yeah.
God, I'll tell you what wasn't my favorite. Freaking Rise of Skywalker.
Oh, you saw it.
Oh my gosh. Look at this guy. Look at this guy. He thinks
he can't see me. I'm Solid Snake. Like, all of these guys just have,
Jesus, he still got me anyways.
All of these guys just have video game fantasies.
Oh, Jesus.
This guy's just yelling out, Snake? Snake!
Time to meet Mr. Sparky.
and by Mr. Sparky, I mean my boot.
Oh, wow. So I have a chronic fear when playing games like this that someone is always sneaking up behind me. And
because
that's exactly
they are,
how that played
right.
out. Yeah. Hey, first aid.
That was a hell of a kick, by the way. You, like, straight up exploded that guy's skull with your foot.
I studied under Duke Nukem.
Yeah, seriously.
But yeah, I don't want to get too far into Rise of Skywalker because I'm legitimately intrigued and enjoying this. But
yeah,
all I can really say about it is I felt it was worse than Suicide Squad. It was that much of a mess.
Wow, really?
I mean, whereas Suicide Squad was just like so disjointed, I felt like at some point the editors just threw up their hands and said, whatever, just start putting scenes in order and ship it.
Yeah.
Someone really thought this was an acceptable movie with Rise of Skywalker. And oh my God, it was just so disjointed. Which, not an original thought in any capacity, but Like, I had a headache within 5 minutes, and I was like, "Oh Jesus, this is what the whole movie is going to be."
So
I mean, before I
recalling.
can focus on one thing,
Yeah.
why do they need the spy? Hold on, we got to go to Desert Burning Man
Right.
to find a MacGuffin to lead us to a MacGuffin and an ancient Sith dagger that was made after the Death Star was destroyed.
And they're still good in Kylo Ren because reasons. No. So I'm thinking back to our conversation.
There's Harrison Ford. Hey.
Because Carrie Fisher's dead, so we have to have Harrison Ford. No, actually, that was
I was
probably
just
the
trying to
scene
block,
I
but,
enjoyed
that
most was
cool.
just Han Solo coming back for one more line. Anyway,
Harrison Ford, God, it looked like he just like rolled out of bed and he's like, "I'll do the frickin' scene.
I'll take
Can
your
you
$1
comb
million.
your hair? I said I'll do the scene. I'll do one take. That's all I'm gonna do."
That's all you're getting.
You thought, oh, I really thought there was a guy here.
So I'm flashing
I
back
really
to our
thought.
conversation from 2 weeks ago, and I believe my comment was, if I think a film is mediocre, you're going to think it's absolute trash.
It wasn't even mediocre. It was,
and here
it was
we
not
are.
even a film. Go on, I'm sorry.
No, but I stand by my statement that, it was thoroughly mediocre.
Oh, Jesus, there was a guy.
Like,
Zap.
There were, like, I enjoyed, like, the pretty colors and the lightsaber fights and things like that, but I couldn't make heads or tails of the plot, so...
The details of the plot, yes. Kill the girl. I need her alive, Kylo Ren. Wait, what? What? Wait, so Kylo Ren has
Kill
to go
me.
kill Rey, who is very vital to the Emperor's plan for her to be alive.
And then the part that made even less sense, that I'm still kind of debating, he asks her to kill him, and then, like, he sort of changes his mind, and he's like, no, wait.
That was the whole movie.
Turns out I'm immortal. Then he tries to electrocute her the exact same way he did Mace Windu, and completely forgets that,
It was incredible how he went from being resigned to dying to, never mind, I'll be immortal.
And then right back to, like, almost stupidly suicidal with his own powers.
I love how, like, so he's like, "No, you have to kill me." And then Rey kills him by reflecting his power back at him. And it's like, I just see Palpatine pulling the script out of his sleeve.
Right.
Does this mean I win? Hold on.
It's like, no. You have to want to kill him, Nick. Come on.
Oh, I see. My mistake.
I
Appears I have lost.
Like he's shooting the lightning at her. I get the feeling you're not really into this.
Okay, so I gotta say, boy, I am stopping a lot here. It was Daisy Ridley's the actor, right?
Yes.
I don't know why she's gotten so much hate, because I feel she's doing the best she can with really terrible writing. Like, her acting, I don't have any problem with, but
No,
it just seemed like she had totally checked out of that movie. Oh, Jesus!
Welcome to the family, son.
How does it feel? To be
Norman
on this
Reedus?
end of it?
Yeah, right? Discount Norman Reedus?
Don't mess this up for us.
Two things real quick. One, Daisy Ridley. I enjoy her. She's also very nice to look at. Secondly, if you want a really good Batman experience, do the Telltale game.
Be ready for death.
That gives you some interesting things to think about in terms of what I like about the Telltale games is, whereas the Arkham games,
I'm dead.
Yeah, you are. So the Arkham games are like kind of just like Batman boiled down to like his ultimate level of Batmanness, right?
Metal. What am I?
Metal
These are
pieces.
statistics?
I guess
Okay,
so.
well, apparently I didn't just render those folks unconscious. They are dead.
Yeah, they're
Okay,
quite
they're
dead.
Just dead.
Yeah, no, they're not getting back
Killed
up.
by firearm, killed by melee. Metal pieces. I don't even
This
know.
game is just exterminate the homeless, isn't it?
Favorite boots. Favorite weapon, boots.
Nick, is this
where
like
are we on time?
we are about 20 minutes or so to go?
Okay, all right. Let's keep going there then.
But for real, this is like really resonating in a strange way with the whole like Blue Lives Matter movement that has cropped up since this, and because you're just a cop out here like indiscriminately
10
killing.
times condemned predicted our current socioeconomic status.
Right?
Number
Condemned,
7 will leave you in shock.
Condemned Criminal Origins called Donald Trump. Here's the reason why we're giving it our game of the decade. Last decade. Play the
Wait,
Telltale.
did you say 2005?
Yeah, 2005.
God, this game is 14 years old.
I don't want to think about that, Nick. I really don't want to think of 2005 as 14 years ago. I'm not ready for that. Play the Telltale Batman game, and let me know what you think of like their whole Thomas Wayne arc and reveal. Because I really enjoyed it.
Oh, hello, strange man.
It's kind of that same vein as the Joker, but you know, because it's a 12-hour video game instead of a 2-hour movie, they get to explore it a little bit more, and it's really kind of an interesting way about like how
This guy is really chill for the police coming upstairs.
I know, right? About how it like affects Bruce and the way like basically there's a major part of the story in this video game where he's basically kind of like second guessing like if he should even be Batman at all, because the whole like thing that he built his identity on ended up being a lie, because his father was actually kind of a sleaze.
I'm calling it right now. Van Horn is just a figment of my imagination.
I'm guessing. Have you actually played through this whole thing?
No.
No? Okay.
I played like through the end of this level, and that's it.
Oh, wow. Okay, so I couldn't tell you, but it does seem conspicuous, doesn't it? He then proceeds to fire 3 bullets into the door.
Is the man across the street from me the killer?
I think you're the killer.
Trust me. I am here to help. Now go.
I like how his voice is in stereo and then mono, depending on how he's facing.
Yeah, right? You know, man, when you think about 2005, this was one of the first games to make use
Okay, I
of...
guess he's not a figment of my imagination. Talking to officers.
He's also a figment of that officer's imagination. You're just having very, very similar hallucinations.
He's a mass hallucination.
Right? But boy, when you think about 2005 and like where games were, like this was one of the first games console-wise that, you know, would have been available to view via HDMI. But whereas the visuals were able to produce like a rough facsimile of 1080p, like the surround sound things that we kind of take for granted and the various audio options that we enjoy now, like nowhere.
My
Flacco.
Huh.
Asico?
Interesting. Anyways.
Suck my Asico, Nick.
Maybe it's like Russian, like a azuka.
Yeah, right.
Which basically means the same thing. But...
It means tiny American pee-pee.
I do have to say, though, I mean, like, I don't mind that games like this are older. I'm just so pleased that I was able to grow up, like, oh, God, this is going to sound so stupid. I'm pleased that I was able to grow up alongside the gaming industry from, like, the Atari up to what we have now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, ditto.
It's been so delightful just kind of seeing that take its first little Mario Brothers baby steps up to, you know, Cyberpunk or whatever.
Yeah, and, you know, you kind of wonder where it's going to go next, because, like...
Oh, VR.
Yeah.
But it'll stop once there's VR porn. You know. Once that's
I think that's when they're just getting started. No. So, like, with VR, the real trick is going to be presenting in a way that, like, for one thing, feels intuitive to control.
I need a crowbar.
And then, you know, I am not prone to motion sickness, but every once in a while in VR, I will get a little queasy. And so if I'm I'm feeling a little queasy, then I'm guessing that there are people that must just be puking their lungs out the moment they put the headset on.
Well, I'm one of those folks who could not get on board with the 3D movie trends because it would just be like an ice pick through my temples.
I gotcha.
So yeah, as much as I liked doing like VR with Resident Evil 7, I just had such I don't know if the word is vertigo, but yeah, it just wreaked havoc with my head.
Yeah, I can see that.
In an interesting way. I mean, I loved it, but
like every generation of games that comes along, you know, I kind of think to myself, what kind of like technical steps, and like you said, certainly there's VR, but then there's also just like in terms of graphical fidelity, like right
Like,
now,
aren't we at this point at like ray tracing or something?
yeah, we've got ray tracing, we've got they're kind of
We were
exploring.
kind of making bent TVs a thing for a while, and then we kind of gave up on.
Yeah, but in terms of like graphics options, they're kind of looking at ways now to try to eliminate the uncanny valley. You know, they're like capturing eye movements from their actors so that they don't have kind of like that dead fisheye look, like in LA Noire. You know, but
So it's looking like the killer takes pictures of me from across the room. So I guess the killer's not a figment of my imagination, but.
You know what you should really do is as soon as you kind of get the feeling that the killer's there, you take a picture of him back and see if that creeps him out.
That'll really piss him off.
Like he develops the film and then he notices that you're taking a picture of him and like suddenly he doesn't quite feel so safe doing what he's doing anymore. Like, oh God.
I have to mention, it's like, so I guess the police force is after me now for a crime I didn't commit, but they let me take home all of my lab gear.
You've got all of your gear, yeah.
I could pawn this for a few $1,000s.
But I can just see the killer in this game go into like a CD, like 1 hour photo place to cover his tracks, and he gets the pictures back and he sees you pointing your camera at him and he's like, oh my God. Is that what I'm doing to people? Oh,
I'm a monster.
I gotta stop.
Oh, he develops his own photos, of course. Okay.
Yeah, right. Probably while he's naked and listening to opera. You know, it's.
You know, seeing as how this was 2005, this was probably at the very end of the 1 hour photo development era. Oh, hello.
Do you remember the Kmart in Defiance before they demolished it?
Yeah.
Did you ever drive by there when maybe like early 2000 until they closed it and they were too lazy to replace the lighting on the side of the building, so it just said 1 hour poo?
Yes, I remember that.
Oh man. One time my friends and I in high school, to give you an idea of the kind of asshole I was in high school, we had a few beers and then we went to the parking lot of that Kmart and we took an entire like disposable cameras roll worth of pictures of the 1 hour poo sign from like different angles and lighting and apertures, and then we got it developed there. So some poor guy who was just working there like, 9 to 5 to make a living, he had to waste his time developing an entire reel of film and realizing that, wow, these assholes, what the fuck? What's that face? Clearly you are. But he just kind of had to come to the realization that, wow, these teenagers are a bunch of douchebags. As he saw the sign outside of his workplace, 1 hour poo, in as many different varieties as we could possibly get. Oh man, fuck my story and everything I said, because that was the best thing I've seen all night.
That's the best thing I've seen all week.
It's okay, Rick, I got him.
Over here.
Look, there's the blood. It's okay, Rick, I got him. Swing and then just, oh my God.
Marv!
Marv, what are you doing? Marv. Oh man.
Oh my goodness.
So I let Connor watch Home Alone for the first time this year, and I'm kind of wondering if I made a horrible mistake, because that's
most likely.
Because as we're watching the movie, there's the part with the spider on the staircase, and it lands on Harry's chest, right? And Marv's got the crowbar, and Marv, it's probably Joe Pesci's best acting in the whole film. He goes, Marv, what are you doing? Marv. And then Connor's like, he looks to me and he goes, Daddy, we're not supposed to hit. Like, oh my God, I'm a terrible father. No, Daddy, don't laugh. We're not supposed to hit. And I'm like, oh, you're right.
This is the most erotic calendar I have ever seen.
Oh my God, could you just zoom in there for a second?
You can open up to me. I don't even...
August 1983. Either this game takes place in 83, which I don't think so given the cell phones, or they just really, really, really never bothered to replace that calendar.
You know what? I'm getting the impression that a lot of this place seems disused.
You know, you give it a few leap years yet, and like the dates will be accurate again. You just have to ignore the year.
Just hang on to them. You don't want to throw that out.
Yeah, eventually Tuesday the 3rd will roll around again. I mean, you know.
The world might be a little different.
Oh,
I wonder if that hot water heater's as bad as mine.
It is now. You just nailed it with a socket wrench. Oh, wait, no, what is this? Water pipe.
Large pipe.
Yeah.
News, definitely not time.
Yeah, definitely not time. It's news. And that's
This guy
definitely
looks
not
really
Mark
familiar.
Zuckerberg because, well, Mark Zuckerberg wasn't Mark Zuckerberg yet. That's a surprisingly decent texture on that glass.
Right? Ooh.
Like, it almost stands out.
Well, that's not.
So, well, while this is going on too, but I am innocent. I am so innocent.
They're
You
the
gotta believe me.
police, Thomas. That doesn't matter.
Yeah, right.
You've
You've
close
got
the book on this case.
you've got slightly brown skin, man. It's been over for you for a while.
I'm starting to figure out why I've never been promoted in my 15 years with the force.
Yeah, right. I suddenly Thomas realizes that he's still a beat cop, and he gets really pissed off. Oh God. What was I just gonna say? Oh, with our last 5 or so minutes
Oh,
here.
Jesus!
You're right. There is always someone sneaking up behind you.
I think this is the game that traumatized me to that.
Yep. On the plus side, it kind of prepares you for all other games. nice counter with the taser there. That was beautiful.
I that's not what it's for, but that's what I've used it for.
The last thing I'm going to leave you with tonight, Nick, is another thing that I watched this week was Netflix's Dracula, and I give it a solid B-.
Oh, I thought you were talking about season 3 of Castlevania.
No. Which is interesting that they do have another Dracula show, but so it starts off and it almost makes you think that it could be an adaptation of the books, and then by episode 3, it's completely gone off the rails. The question that I would have is, Dracula is such a every different brand can have its own Dracula. I don't quite see the need to try to include characters from the novels, because Dracula, it's like the Mummy, right? Like there is no one definitive mythos for the Mummy, so it's not like it's not a real Dracula story unless you have a Van Helsing or unless you have a John Harker. Right?
The mythos to the Mummy is basically racism, but yes,
yeah, right, exactly. Yeah. So what they end up doing with it is, for the first episode, they kind of take you on this roller coaster a little bit, where like it could almost be lifted straight from the book, but then oh no, in the last 5 minutes we're gonna like completely switch up everything. So if you were actually getting invested in the show to like the idea that this might be like an actually kind of faithful rendition of Bram Stoker's Dracula, no, completely not. But then by the time you get over that, though, you realize that even though it's nowhere near any kind of rendition of Bram Stoker's Dracula, it actually does kind of its own unique things. Oh my God! Did you just snap your neck a few times?
He tried.
Nah, he failed. But it actually does its own unique thing.
Okay,
and
hold
then,
on just a sec.
Oh, no more stomach for you.
It was laying there. I had to.
Well, and he was just waiting there for it. I mean, the only qualms that I have about the particular Dracula that they've created is they have scenes where it could...
Oh my God, he's got a gun, and I think it's Jesus.
Yep, no, it's Rob Zombie is what it is.
Oh, you're right.
Where the show could actually pass for like legitimate...
No, it's Haggard from Harry Potter.
Oh, Hagrid from Harry Potter. I was thinking Hagar from Final Fight. It's all of these things and more. So yeah, when you watch it, that's kind of thing to look out for. There's scenes where it could like almost pass for like almost classic style horror, But then they'll make Dracula kind of over the top cheeky because it's the same writers who did Doctor Who and Sherlock, and if they don't have like a really cheeky villain, then they don't feel comfortable in their own skin. So yeah, there's scenes that are just kind of cringeworthy like that. But when it's good, it's really, really good, and when it's bad, it's just kind of eh. So like I said, B-.
2 bullets. 2 bullets of the sledgehammer.
2 bullets in the sledgehammer. I don't know why you sounded like Bane right there.
1 for me.
1 for you. Who gets to go first?
So, okay. Speaking of Draculas and Castlevania, you ready to hear my idea for Castlevania Season 3?
Let's finish the episode with this. I am ready.
Okay. All right, so here you go. Castlevania Season 3. This is what it needs to be about. All right? So, you got to find some way to have a time skip in the future, right? Because with everything going on immediately, I get the feeling the next 10, 15 years are going to be boring. So, all right.
You know what, with Dracula being dead and all.
So what you got, all right? So does Dracula come back or not? So what you got is, okay, so because the church has got to be evil, all right? You got the Pope, right? And he needs to consolidate his power.
Slow down, Pope. Yeah.
So what he does is he gets this vampire, right? And he's like, all right, I need you to be Dracula. We're going to really hype you up, and you're going to scare the people back to the church.
Shut
right?
up, Larry the vampire. You're Dracula now.
So that happens. And then, so that stirs stuff up. And then all of a sudden, the real Dracula comes back. So now we got a problem, because, real Dracula's back. And,
It's like Superman Returns, only Dracula, and significantly
I felt
worse.
like there was more to it, but anyways, that's my idea.
I can see that going down. The only thing that I really care about is that we get to see Simon Belmont.
They would also, do a 15-year time skip, and that would make sense in context. Someone just threw that TV.
Yep. And there's also a dude waiting for you right around the corner here. But yeah, so the only thing that I would have changed about the first act of Netflix's Castlevania is that they would have been pretty well screwed had it not been for Alucard. Like, not only did Trevor Belmont not really engage in that Dracula fight, it was Alucard who did it, but they were all gonna lose. Like, Dracula let them win. I would like to see Simon Belmont, but like in all of like the Belmont glory. Like, I want to see Simon Belmont actually take on like a Dracula in his prime. That would be my definition of like Castlevania euphoria.
Well, I mean, come on. I mean, Goku doesn't go Super Saiyan God mode at the end of Season 2.
No.
That comes down the road, right? When he's got all the Dragon Balls.
But by that same token, the one thing that's generally pretty reliable about Castlevania is that it is going to be a Belmont who puts a stop to Dracula, right? But here it was Alucard, and even then Alucard didn't actually. Dracula's just like, oh god, I'm a monster. You should kill me.
I mean, in the end, Dracula wanted it, right? That was established.
Right. Yeah. And so even if they don't do a Season 3, which they're going to do a Season 3, I feel we got a very satisfying ending out of that series. But if they're going to go for another season and take it in a new direction, I would like to see Simon Belmont, and like he's kind of learned from Trevor's mistakes, and he's just like doing nothing but training to kill Dracula, so like he's ready when he comes back around. I would be down for that.
If that's the route it goes, I mean, sure. 15 years later, we got a new Belmont. Vampires are immortal, so it doesn't affect them. Hector's going to be a little bit of an old man at that point, but... Well,
does Hector age traditionally? Like, did he take some kind of blood oath, or is he still human?
I would assume
I forget if they established that or not.
I mean, they're human, but they eschew their humanity.
Okay, that's kind of what I was thinking. So Hector, if you ever played the really, really bad PlayStation 2 game, Hector was actually kind of a badass, and they completely changed his character to be almost defenseless in the grand scheme of things. So that it would be interesting to see, like, if he actually nuts up and kind of betters his situation.
I'm sure that's the route they're going with that.
Well, and then the other thing that I think they're going to do is I actually almost agree with your plot verbatim, only instead of like finding a new vampire to replace Dracula, I think it's just going to be Carmella. Wait, that's her name, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, Carmella. I think she's going to be like the Act 1 antagonist, and then, just as they are starting to get a heads up on her, that's when Dracula reappears and everything goes to shit.
I feel like they need like a fake out of some sort, though.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the fake out is Dracula's dead, and unless you played the video games, you would just assume he's dead.
Oh, this is unnerving. Oh, he's been watching me since my father died. How paternalistic.
Daddy? I'm sorry, I went out for
Wait,
cigarettes.
Van Horn
and never
has
came
to be
back.
the killer. I mean,
Van Horn, if he's not a killer, he has really mastered the Hannibal Lecter voice. I mean, you got to give him that.
You're not wrong.
Well, perhaps not from God, but some lesser deity, perhaps a Buddha or a Krishna.
Or perhaps one of those delightful Jewish golems.
Something weird and 9/11-y. What were we talking about again? He just drops casual racism on you.
Oh, it's Night at the Museum now.
Yeah, Nick, I think next time on Night at the Museum, you're going to have to kill these guys using that lamppost right there. I don't care how you do it.
I see.
Oh, gas.
Yeah, this is a delightful, creepy, open area.
I'm really enjoying it, dude. Thank you for bringing me back into this.
Yeah, it is pretty much exactly what I hoped. Bunch of bashing and crashing. So we'll continue with the head-splitting, side-splitting madness next week.
Bashing and crashing, boys. We'll see you then.
I'm just gonna
make a quick deposit here and see if okay, nope. See you next time.